Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today we would like to present about the topic of stress in mechanics of material. Stress is a very important concept in engineering because every structure and machine carry a lot of load. Example like building, bridge, beam, column, and some mechanic of components. If the stress inside a material become too large, the material the material will yield, crack, and rupture. This can cause a accident, structure collapse, and economic loss. So, as an engineer, we must understand how to design the structure by understanding the concept of stress. Why do engineers need to learn stress? By learning stress, engineer can design safe structure that can support the load without failure. It also helps the engineer select the suitable material for different applications. In addition, stress also allows the engineer to predict the deformation and possible failure before it happens. This ensures the structure has a long service life and performs safely throughout its users. So now, what is stress? That stress is defined as the intensity of internal forces developed within a material when an external load is applied. Mathematically, stress is equal to internal forces divided by the cross section of area. So F divided by the A. This means stress does not only depend on the magnitude of force, but also on the area over which the force action. A small area will result in higher stress for the same force. The unit of stress is, since the stress is equal to force divided by the area, so the unit SI for the stress is Pascal, Newton per meter square. This unit show how force is acting per unit area inside the material. Understanding the stress and its use and its unit is essential for engineer to develop and to ensure the material safe or not. So this.
Next, let's talk about the types of stress. So stress, there's two types of stress, in which one is normal stress and another is shear stress. So normal stress acts perpendicular to the cross-sectional area, and the formula for normal stress is P over A. P as in the axial force and A as in the cross-sectional area. So in normal stress, there's two types, in which tensile stress and compressive stress. Tensile stress is caused by the pulling forces, in which the material become longer, elongates, and the value for the stress will always be positive. And the compressive stress is caused by the pushing forces, in which the material becomes shortened, and the stress value will be negative. Next is the shear stress. Shear stress acts parallel to the cross-sectional area, and the formula for shear stress is V over A. The V is shear force and A is the resisting area. General state of a stress at a point, in which at any point inside a material, the normal stress will always act perpendicular and the shear stress will always act parallel. And a real stress state usually contains both forms of normal and shear stresses simultaneously, especially in beams, shafts, and pressure vessels. So that's it for the types of stress.
Okay, in this part of presentation, I will explain internal resultant loading, which is a key concept in mechanics of materials. So, when external loads act on the structural members such as beam, column, or shaft, the member does not fail immediately. Instead, internal forces and moment develop inside the material to resist those external forces. These internal reactions are known as internal resultant loadings, and they are essential because stress and deformation are directly caused by these internal forces, not by the external loads alone. So there are four main types of interloadings that can exist within a member. The first one is the normal force. This force act along the longitudinal axis of the member. If the force pull the member, it causes tension. If the pushes the member, it causes compression. Normal force is responsible for normal stress in materials. So the second one is the shear force. Shear force acts perpendicular to the axis of the member. It tends to cause sliding between adjacent layers of the materials. Shear force commonly occurs in beams subjected to transverse loads. The third one is the bending moment. A bending moment causes the member to bend or curve. As a result, one side of the member experiences compression, while the opposite side experiences tension. Bending moments are the primary cause of bending stress in beam. Finally, we have torque. Torque is twisting moment that acts about the longitudinal axis of the member. It's commonly found in shafts, such as those used in motor and machinery, and it produces torsional shear stress. So, to determine these internal forces and moment, we use the method of sections. This method involves cutting the member at the specific location and analyzing one part of the cut member. At the cut surface, the internal forces and moment become visible. We apply the equilibrium equation, which is total force equal to 0 and total moment is equal to 0. Using this equation allows us to calculate the values of normal force, shear force, bending moment and torque at that section. So, for the internal loading diagram, graphical representations that show how internal forces and moments vary along the length of the member. These include normal force diagram, shear force diagram, bending moment diagram, and torque diagram. These diagrams are very important because they help engineers identify critical sections where internal forces and stresses are the highest. So let's move on to the equilibrium of deformable bodies. Even though structural members deform under load, they must always satisfy static equilibrium. This means that the sum of all forces and moments acting on the body must be zero. This principle allows us to analyze deformable bodies using the same equilibrium rules as rigid bodies. So, this is about relationship between internal forces and stress. Internal resultant loading are directly related to stress. The number one is normal force produces normal stress given by sigma equal to N over A. Second one is shear force produces shear stress given by torque tau equal to V over A. So bending moment produces bending stress expressed as sigma equal to MC over I. Torque produces torsional shear stress given by tau equal to TC over J. In simple terms, internal forces and moments are the cause, while stress is the effect. This is for engineering importance. Understanding internal resultant loading is essential for designing safe structures, preventing materials failure, determining critical section, and calculating stresses accurately. Without knowing the internal forces and moment, it is impossible to perform proper stress analysis. In conclusion, internal resultant loadings describe how a structural member internally resists external loads through normal force, shear force, bending moment, and torque. This internal action form the foundation for all stresses and deformation analysis in mechanics of materials. So that's all from me, and we will proceed to the next part.
Some example of scenario is stresses. First, for the resultant on beam cross section, given a beam with a 2 point from A to B. So what the first step? First step, we cut to the beam into at the section to find the equilibrium equation, or we can call it neutral equilibrium. After we find the equilibrium equation, we can find and calculate to determine the internal force and Vm. So after calculate these three internal force, we can compute stress using the formula here. Example is about the pipe subject to the force and moment. Given a determined resultant internal loading acting on stress section pipe of B, there's a given mass of the pipe, add to the vertical force and the couple of moment. So it's also given the fixed wall into the sea. So what the first step is cut the pipe at the section. Second, apply equilibrium equation. And 3, find and determine the internal force NVNM. So next, we find the axial force to ensure that it's normal stress. Next, we can find the bending moment for the bending stress, and lastly, we can combine the stress using this formula. Not least, the example of scenario from average and shear stress is given the dip and tightness from this question, and we find the average, normal and shear stress by using this formula.
Lastly, we'll talk about allowable stress. So, what is allowable stress? Allowable stress is the maximum self-stress a material is permitted to carry in design. It is less than the failure stress to ensure safety. There are 3 things that we will look into. First, factor of safety. Second, allowable stress design. And thirdly, determining area for allowable stress. So first, factor of safety. Factor of safety accounts for material uncertainty, load variation, manufacturing defect, and human safety. So the formula is factor of safety equals to stress fail over stress allowed, and factor of safety equals to tau fail over tau allowed. Second, allowable stress design. Under this, first we need to choose the material. Second, determine failure stress. Third, select suitable factor of safety. Fourth, compute allowable stress. And lastly, design dimension so that the actual stress is less than allowable stress to make sure the design is safe. And lastly, determining area for allowable stress. If allowable stress is known, A equals to P over stress allowed. This ensures the component will not fall under working load.